Namaste and welcome everybody to this wonderful webinar we are having on Indic Feminism. This has been a seminar in the working for past 1 year. Last year, we had Indic Day celebrations here in Chicago, and that's when we started talking about it, and Ram was the idea behind it. And we started planning for it, but it was supposed to be an in-person seminar here with the day-long activities and all that, but due to the pandemic situation we are in, we had to resort to this format. But hopefully in future, we'll have more of these kind of in-person interactions later on. Before we start our event, I would now request our friend here, Nishant, one of our coordinators, to get his daughter to do the invocation of Devi and Deepam, please.
Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shanti Rupena Sanstitha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanstitha Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matru Rupena Sanstitha Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddhirupena Sanstitha Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha.
Wonderful, wonderful prayer. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Before I invite Hari Kiranji, I want to quickly introduce my friends here from Indica USA, Nishant and Ram. I think Nishant is going to be switching off from his cell phone to the iPad mode. So he may come in later, but Ram, can you say hello to everybody, please?
Hello, people. This is Ram, one of the chapter coordinators for Indic Academy here in Chicago. I live in Chicago with my family. Been here for quite some time. Looking forward to this seminar.
And like I said, Nishant is also one of our coordinators here in Chicago and very active in all our events. But I now take this opportunity to invite Sri Hari Kiranji, founder of Indic Academy, to introduce us to the wonderful work we are doing all around the world. So Hari Kiranji, your floor, please.
Thank you. Thank you. So one person who talks loud is now shut up. So now I have an opportunity to talk loud. So I first want to announce good news that Nishant and Ram, who are earlier Chicago conveners, we had requested them. They don't know about it yet, but Avtans and I, we just discussed, and we want them to play a national role at Indica USA. They have been extraordinarily hardworking in making Chicago chapter, and we thought that they should now look at US as a larger footprint to direct their energies and attention. So welcome to Indica USA National Board, Ram and Nishant. Thank you for all the hard work that you do for Indica USA.
Thank you. It was a pleasant surprise. I'm sure it was not scripted.
No.
Surprise. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sumedha ji, very warm welcome, and Deepa ji, Suhag, my good friend Neha, Aditi, Sahana, and of course Preeti, very warm welcome to you for this seminar. We had actually also planned it, Neha and Aditi, we had also planned it in India sometime last year. On Indigenous feminism. We didn't call it Indic Feminism at that time, we called it Indigenous Feminism. But then again, because of COVID and other reasons we couldn't work on it. So I'm glad that this is taken a shape. I just want to give you an overall summary of what's happening at Indic Academy. COVID has actually propelled us into a different level altogether. Primarily because events we did before COVID, we did 496 events in the last 5 years. And post COVID, now we are doing a number of events, but basically the events part of it is pretty much made much more easier. But just to take a step back, the way we are looking at Indic Academy right now is we're looking at thought centers. We are establishing thought centers, and we have platforms, and we are nurturing through our grants, so a nurture fund. So broadly, there are three directions in which we are going. And in thought centers, we have currently four thought centers. We have a thought center for Inter Gurukula and University Center. That's focused on bridging Shastras and Indic knowledge systems. And we have a center for soft power. Suhag knows about it. She came for our conference also last year. And that Center for Soft Power is again focused on promoting a culture globally. Then we have a Center for Indigenous Sustainability that is headed by Rahul Goswami and Viva Karmani. And then we are focused on regenerative agriculture, Ayurveda, and craft. We have now 11 research scholarships that we have announced, and that center is taken off. We have recently announced a Center for Indic Law and Justice in collaboration with P. Narasimha, Senior Counsel in Supreme Court. And that is a new initiative. We have two more centers in the offing. One is a Center for Consciousness Studies and Inner Transformation. That center will be probably launching in a week's time. And then we also are establishing, with Rashtraam, we are establishing a Center for Cultural Leadership. So these are the 6 centers that we bear. So that's one activity. And each of these centers, we have a value chain. We have a value chain in terms of first focused on research. We are announcing a lot of research fellowships. We have announced about 80, awarded about 40 research fellowships. So research is the primary fountainhead, and then from research we transfer to publications to courses to events like seminars, webinars. And from events, then we also look at networks and collaborations. So that's the value chain of a thought center. We also have platforms, which are basically focused on platforming others' content, either domain specific or audience specific. For example, we have a platform called Indic Book Club. We have a platform called Indic Today. We have a platform called Indica Yoga, Advaita Academy. And we have a platform called iGen Plus, which is focused on children. So, and now we have a platform called Indica Pictures. Indica Pictures, in fact, we're doing a film utsav, which is a Indic film utsav. This is the first time this such a initiative has been undertaken. We have more than 800 entries. Now we've shortlisted 80. It's from November 12th to 15th. So these are all the platforms. And then we also nurture through our grant schemes. So that's the broader direction in which Indic Academy is growing. And particularly in terms of, we are also becoming an institution in the sense that we are establishing governance structure. So we have a governing council that we have, and we have an academic council. We also have proactively established a environment, social and governance council. And this is a very important initiative. And this ESG council, as you know, all the large corporates are talking about all the funds and all that. They're all talking about ESG invest and that's a very big thing. But we have proactively started for an NGO itself, ESG. And Sumedha ji is a part of that. Aditi is a part of that. Our idea is in the ESG Council to focus on governance is of course one, but focus on environment, focus on the social issues. The social issues in India are on the women issues, LGBTQ issues, Dalit issues, interfaith issues. These are the four areas. Aditi is looking at the interfaith issues. Sumedha ji is looking at the women issues, and governance we have Sundari ji. So this is how we have now looking at ESG Council. We have now 30 chapters around the world. We have a team of more than 100 volunteers working. So that's broadly what Indic Academy is today. Just in terms of the various initiatives over the last 5 years, you all are aware, we have taken several initiatives, but in specifically, some of the things are in terms of rituals. We have done a conference. Indigenous environment, we have done a conference. We had more than a 2-day conference. We had more than 30 speakers. So that is again an intervention that we had made. And this conference is a very important, this webinar is a very important topic. All of you are aware of the importance of this, so I won't go down too much into that. Sumedha ji will talk about it. Our commitment to this is that we've also given a grant to a good friend Neha for her pioneering work in this space. So we are very much committed to addressing the issues from our side. We'll start with the basic thing of what is feminism in the Indian context, and we'll start from there. And then that's why we have this adjective called the Indic Feminism. And that adjective will clarify the feminism part of it in India, and the speakers here will elaborate in more detail. So I once again warmly welcome you to this webinar, and we have a fantastic panel for discussion, and our curator Sumedha ji is I'm sure is going to lead and weave the whole thing together. Thank you, Sumedha ji. Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to invite Sumedha ji, who is heading this effort here with Indic Feminism, to take it from here. Sumedha ji.
Thank you, Avtans. Thank you very much, Hari Kiranji, for giving this background and for agreeing to be here in spite of how late it is in India. A very warm welcome to all those who have gathered for this webinar. A very warm welcome to all the team, the co-panelists, and I think we are going to have a very interesting, informative, intriguing, and learning couple of hours in front of us. So before I start on the introduction, a couple of house rules. So we're going to have 8-minute talks by each of the panelists on their chosen field of work, after which we will have a panel discussion on the modern context, the contemporary paradigm of their work, where everyone will speak, people will question, we will question each other, and we hope to have a very interactive and learning environment for that. And remember, all those who are participants in this seminar, you can put your questions in the Q&A box. We will look at those questions. If we can answer them within the panel discussion itself, we will do that. But we will also have a 20-minute Q&A session only for audience questions right at the end after the panel discussion. So I hope that takes care of the house rules and tells us what we are going to today. So now what about the topic, Indic feminism? What is Indic feminism? What is feminism for that matter? And why do we add Indic to it? A little bit of history here, not too much. The word feminism comes from France. And it was an intellectual called Olympe de Gouges, who in 1791 wrote the first declaration of the rights of women. And it is here that Western feminism was actually birthed. Now, of course, they try and make everything into proto-feminism, but that's a kind of post-facto thing. It is here in Europe in the 18th century that feminism was birthed. And in the 19th and first part of the 20th century was first way feminism. What was it? It was against the church and state. It was against those policies of the Christian and Protestant church, which were anti-women. So they had no rights to their bodies, they had no rights to property, they had no suffrage rights, and they fought for all these things in Europe mostly. So therefore, it is all in the crucible of European history and politics. Then we come to the 1960s and to second wave feminism, where it became all about culture, power, and politics. The personal became political. And it was Simone de Beauvoir, it was Germaine Greer, it was Betty Friedan, it was Dorothy Smith. These were the people who were the flag bearers of second wave feminism. In fact, the impact of books like Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique cannot be overstated. Most people would not have heard of it in India, but they know what is there in it. Unfortunately, we have taken a lot of it onto ourselves without really querying the sources. Now, this was mostly a feminism of white, Christian, well off women. So that there was bound to be a blowback against this. So, this was the third wave, a critique of this essentialist feminism. So, then this brought in the voices which talked of gender, which talked of gays, lesbians, gender fluidity, etc. It also brought in non white, non Christian voices. So, you had the feminism of colored women, the feminism of Islam, so Islamic feminism, and the discussion about the burqa, etc. Now, this is all very interesting, but are you all missing something? Are you all missing the voice of 15% of humanity? 15% of humanity, which comprise of the Hindus in the world, 600 million women, and no voices of these 600 million Hindu women. This entire theoretical framework that I have narrated to you has this huge, huge gap. And this gap can be filled only by us. Only by us, Hindu women, Hindu feminists who are working in this area. We must speak up for ourselves. But we must note yet another thing. And what is that? The space for Hindu women, for Indian women, Indic women has been captured. And captured by whom? Captured by the Marxist feminists. So they speak for all of us. And they speak in a voice which we do not recognize. Because for them, it is all about conflict, it is all about power, it is all about men versus women, and it is all about Vedic, traditional, Shastric, Indic paradigms being traditional, regressive, even dangerous, and absolutely ready to be thrown out, hook, line, and sinker, and to be replaced by the modern, progressive, Marxist outlook. That is what this webinar is all about. We are going to strike a blow for ourselves. We are going to reclaim that space which belongs to us, to 600 million Hindu women. And we are going to, as you will see, our wonderful panelists are all amazing women who have done work in different areas, both both practical, political, theoretical, research. They have done work in all these areas, and you will be hearing from all of them. A couple of notes here. One note on why Indic feminism. Some people have been reacting on social media and asking, feminism is a toxic word. It has baggage. So why do you use it? Our answer is, and we have discussed it amongst ourselves also, that feminism is a word with across the board recognition. And it is also a word which has become associated with certain very toxic behavior and toxic policy making. We wish to reclaim this word too. And we wish to make it an Indic brand of feminism. Feminism is the attempt to put women at the center. So we will put women at the center in our own way. We will use this word till we have the narrative firmly in our own hands, after which, we can come to a consensus about what we want to call it. There are a number of options, and we will set our own narrative once we have it firmly in our own hands. Right now, we are just trying to spark off a discussion, spark off an intellectual ferment, spark off a practical ferment, so that we do things our own way. And before I move on to inviting the speakers, there is something that I must speak of. We must today remember Hansa Jeevraj Mehta. She was a lady who lived in the early 20th century. And even though everything was stacked against Indian women, she did put in a blow for women's rights. She did put in a blow for Indian women. That was her picture that you saw on the flyer. None of us, by the way. It was the picture of Hansa Jeevraj Mehta. So as the Indian delegate on the UN Human Rights Commission, she was the one who changed the language of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from all men are created equal, which Eleanor Roosevelt wanted, to all human beings are created equal, thus voicing a blow, just this voicing the point of view of women. So she later also went on to become the vice chair of the UN Human Rights Commission, and she is one of the women who we can think of who did strike a blow in her own way, even when none of us had any voices. Today we have a voice, and today we are going to speak. That's what we are here for. Now I will go on to each of our panelists. I will separately invite all of them to speak, and they will be speaking on a whole spectrum of topics. You are going to find all these topics very, very interesting.